In a kitchen in Toronto, the fat is on the fire.
These are roasted marrow bones. I'm happy to be the fat lady. That's what I call myself. And it always gets a laugh, but I want to point out that by eating fat, you're not going to get fat. I'm an example of that. This is a tea biscuit or a scone that's made with suet. Now,
Jennifer McLagan says people eat less of fatty foods because they're more filling, and she calls fat the misunderstood ingredient.
We all think of phrases like a tub of lard that sound sort of big and bulky and disgusting.
Yeah, lard doesn't have, it's really a four-letter word. You know, it doesn't sound that good, you know, lardy, lardo, you know, but it's a shame because it's a fabulous fat.
McLagan, author of the James Beard Award-winning cookbook called, you guessed it, argues that eating a moderate amount of animal fat can be healthy and delicious.
So for you, this looks like something you want to just...
It's something I want to try.
Persuading even a skeptical reporter to try a taste of rosemary-infused lard.
It's really good. Believe me.
It has a lovely, like a delicate flavor that is a surprise, I admit.
Also surprising is that animal fat can be rich in vitamins and omega-3s.
We've been eating animal fats for 10,000 years, right? It's been part of our diet up until this crazy thing where all of a sudden we decided fat was bad for us. And if fat had been that bad for us, we'd all be a lot healthier today because we seem to have given it up and we don't seem to be any healthier or happier.
Meat is good for you, and there are many kinds.
It does seem that we've been in a fight over fat for years. Foods containing saturated fat like milk, eggs, and bacon were once considered the hallmark of a healthy breakfast.
Meats and eggs are high in protein, which helps build red blood and strong muscles.
But in the late 1970s, a Senate Committee on Nutrition, led by former presidential candidate George McGovern, warned against eating animal fats.
Cholesterol is one of the 3 major coronary risk factors.
Even then, scientists, including Dr. Robert Olson of St. Louis University, challenged the findings.
Now, in my opinion, the dietary goals are not a sound nutritional guide.
Still, the Senate report ushered in an era of low-fat products.
Fat-free from America in my restaurante.
Sure. You did a thing, cuisine, you gave me a way to eat right. Eat right, more satisfaction.
But not everyone jumped on the low-fat bandwagon.
I mean, it's just completely ill-conceived, this low-fat diet, this low-saturated fat diet. You know, the idea that we should not eat butter, that we should eat low-fat yogurt instead of full-fat yogurt.
Gary Taubes has been studying and writing about our fat phobia for more than a decade. He scoffs at the idea that eating animal fat is unhealthy.
You're just going against the science. The studies have never been able to prove it, and you've got clinical trials that demonstrate the opposite, that demonstrate that a high animal fat diet's a healthy diet.
Indeed, according to a 2010 study published in Annals of Medicine, higher fat, lower carbohydrate diets work better than lower fat, higher carbohydrate diets to reduce cholesterol. But before you reach for another piece of bacon, here's the tricky part.
From our perspective, excessive consumption of saturated fat is a bad habit to be in.
Cardiologist Gordon Tomaselli, president of the American Heart Association, cites other data indicating that eating animal fat can be unhealthy.
The epidemiologic evidence tells us, and other studies tell us, that saturated fats, when consumed, will increase levels of cholesterol.
In fact, the Heart Association website calls saturated fat a bad fat and suggests limiting it to 7% of our calories.
Sizzle some garlic in that fat.
But it seems there's no stopping the urge to chew the fat. At the San Francisco restaurant Encanto, Chef Chris Cosentino says that cooking with fat is a family tradition.
My grandmother lived to be 98. My great-grandmother lived to be 99. Obviously, they did something right.
And I've got to admit that the egg he offered me that was cooked in olive oil didn't compare to the one cooked in chicken fat.
Definitely that one.
You're right.
I mean, huge difference.
Massive difference.
I know, because I want to eat that entire egg.
Excess in anything is bad for you. But a good balance of animal fat with protein is actually good for you.
So until the fat fight ends, maybe the key to healthy, happy, fatty eating is moderation.